I have 237 books on my TBR, and we need to fix that. All right, hello. My name is Megan, and welcome to Pumpkin Pages. Thank you so much for tuning in. As you might have noticed, this is my very first video on this channel, and I'm so excited to be filming this video and getting started with this channel. It's an idea I've kind of been hanging on to for a couple years now. I've been a really big reader for most of my life, but recently, this year especially, I've just been in just a terrible reading slump. I honestly don't remember the last time I finished a book. I have not finished a book this year in 2026. I started 2026 trying to read Cult X by Fuminori Nakamura, and it was pretty intense. I mean, I think even the title, you can kind of tell that it's going to be a little bit of a heavier book. And I also had tried to reread actually, a book that I really love, You'd Be Home Now by Kathleen Glasgow. But neither of them were really hitting back in January, and I was also traveling at the time. And then this whole rest of my year was also just very busy, and I haven't had the time or energy to sit down and actually read. I have been getting more into reading during the day in recent years, but in the past, I've strictly been someone who reads in bed at night, and I've just had the problem for so long that by the time I get into bed at night, I am so tired that I don't have the energy to read and I just want to lay down and go to bed. But after so many misses during 2026 and not having finished a book in so long, I finally picked up a book that my mom read quite a while ago, and she recommended it to me back when she read it. She said it was one of her favorite books, I think, that she'd ever read. My mom also has a book review channel. She reviews books, movies, plays, anything. I can link that up here. It's called Brilliant Blue Reviews. I'm actually never sure which side it's on. It'll be up there somewhere. But she read a while ago a book called Florence Adler Swims Forever. And I actually have it right here, by Rachel Beanland. It's this one right here. And so I checked this out from the library, I think back in April. And I have slowly been reading it since then. For a while, I was reading it and I was invested in it, but I was just moving so slowly still. And now finally my life has kind of cleared up and I've become less busy. I've had time to actually sit down with it and get through it. So I'm about halfway through now. I'm on page 152 and there are 304 pages. So I'm almost exactly halfway through it. And I do really love this book so far. I will be filming a review of this pretty soon, probably around mid-June. That video will go up. But thankfully, this book has done wonders for getting me out of my reading slump. I haven't had this much enjoyment reading a book in a long time, and it has encouraged me to get out and investigate what other people are reading as well, because I love gathering new books. And you're gonna see where the problem starts to arise here pretty soon. I love learning about new books and finding them and collecting them, and I don't ever get through them on my TBR. I just put them on my TBR and then they sit there for years and years and years. Like I said, I have almost 240 books on my list right now. I keep a digital list on Goodreads, and most of those have been there for many years, like since I was in high school. I really need to get through those. I'm hoping to kind of lift myself out of this reading slump and start reading more again. However, there are two factors that play into how many books I can read a year, and when I can read the books I actually feel like reading. First of all, I so very rarely buy new books. I will tell you about one that I just bought a couple weeks ago, and that was the first one I'd bought in quite a while. I did start collecting manga here last year, and I did buy all of these in 2025. But aside from those, I haven't bought a novel or a nonfiction book in a really long time. I don't love buying books, especially if they're ones I haven't read. If I buy a book, it's typically one I'm really excited about, or one that I have read in the past and I know I love and I know I read annually or at least quite often. Other than that, I am a huge connoisseur of public libraries. I love my public library so much. It is probably one of my favorite places on earth. I love visiting the library. I love getting lost in the shelves and exploring new books. I could never give up my public library, and personally, I don't see the point in buying books when 99% of them are available through my library system. It's a really, really convenient way to get my books most of the time. Now, sometimes I will encounter a book that my library does not have. I don't know the last time that happened though, so I can't tell you what I do in those situations. But I think in that situation, I might buy the book. I'll seek it out secondhand if I'm able to, or I'll get it from a bookstore. But there are also just times where the book I want is very popular and has many holds on it, and there are many people waiting ahead of me. And that makes it difficult to get the books I want in a timely manner. I have tried even audiobooks, which I'm not a huge fan of, just so I can get my hands on the books sooner. And the audiobooks, the holds on those are almost worse than on the physical books. I've never quite understood why I have to put a digital audiobook on hold. Like right now, I really want to read As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. Yeah, Holly Jackson, I think. And I cannot yet because there are a few people ahead of me on the holds list on the physical copy. And there are many people ahead of me on the audiobook copy. I use Libby to get my audiobooks, and Libby said that it will be 14 weeks before I can listen to the audiobook. So I'll definitely just be waiting for the physical copy because I prefer that anyway, and there are only like 2 people ahead of me at this point. But yeah, so I've been a big reader for a while and I just really want to get out of this slump and start reading again. So I started watching other YouTubers, I guess you would call them booktubers, who vlog about what they're reading, do book reviews, adding to their TBRs, kind of best reads of the year sort of videos. And it reminded me that this is something I've wanted to do for a couple years. And I figure these 2 things can go hand in hand, getting myself out of the slump and also kind of gaining momentum through creating this YouTube channel and being able to film about the books that I read, because I really also love talking about the books I read, and I don't talk to enough people about books, and I really love it. I'm very excited to get into reviews and just share my enthusiasm for reading with everybody who watches these videos. Before I move too far, fun drink of the day is a glass of water because it is really hot and really dry and we need to stay hydrated. Anyway, now that I've given you a little introduction to myself, let's get into what this video is actually about. I set a reading goal for myself at the beginning of 2026 that I wanted to read 15 books. I have not done that. I have not even read one. Florence Adler will be my first one, okay? But it is still possible for me to read in a feasible manner 15 books in 2026 if I pick up the pace a little. I calculated it out and it should be about 2 books a month I would have to read. And there's a little leeway in there if I remember correctly. I did this the other day, so forgive me if my math is off. But I believe I can still do it. I believe that I have a lot of good books on my list that I can pick from so that I'm actually motivated to read them. And I wanted to kind of compile that list and share it with you all so that you know kind of what to look forward to in reviews I'll be filming in the future and just kind of how the rest of my 2026 is going to go reading-wise. And we are going to write them down in this little notebook I have. Let's find a blank page here. We're going to be using the cactus pen. Today is June 9th, and this is going to be my 2026 reading list. I'm gonna add some little decorations here. I would draw a pumpkin, but I have been getting poor in my pumpkin drawing. I'm also a barista. I'm a barista by day and I suppose a reader by night. And I love when fall hits because I absolutely love drawing pumpkins on every single cup that I put out, every to-go cup I'm able to put out. Let's try to draw a little pumpkin here. It might not be perfect because it's been a long time, but we will try. Oh, she's not too bad. Right. And there we are. I apologize for covering up that other page. It's got my writing on it and you just don't want to see my bad handwriting. I can write much better than that and you're gonna see that. So, before anything, we must add Florence Adler because she is going to be my first of 15. So, number 1, Florence Adler, Swims Forever by Rachel Beanland. I know that a lot of other YouTubers do a TBR prompt jar, and I think I might do a TBR jar for the books I put on this list, but not necessarily how other people have been doing it. How I've seen it is people will have prompts that kind of describe something that you can find in a book, such as read a book that has a map in it, or read a book where the author's name starts with a certain letter. And I think that sounds like a lot of fun, but I also feel like it's a little too restrictive for me. I really love reading whatever I want, when I want to. I really think that's important, especially in keeping up motivation to read. And actually that gets back around to the second factor in how many books I read a year that I forgot to mention earlier. But the second factor is I really enjoy taking my time with books, not Florence Adler time. Florence Adler has been taking me extra time to get through, but now I'm kind of picking up the pace on it. But I love just sitting with books and reading them at my own pace instead of trying to get to some sort of goal. I mean, 15 books a year, I think, is having a yearly goal of that few books. And it isn't a few for some people. For some people, that's a lot of books. Some people only read 1 book a year, and that's totally okay. I just don't feel that, for me personally, it is fun or achievable for me to have really high reading goals. Like, I know there are people who try to get through 7 books in 7 days. I could never be that person. I don't want to read for speed. I don't want to read for some arbitrary count. I want to read because it's fun for me and I love the books that I choose to read. I also don't typically go for a lot of the trendy or current books. Sometimes I will if it's something that sounds appealing to me, but most of the time it doesn't really. I'm not really into a lot of the typical book talk or booktube books. There are just ones that I just have absolutely no interest in. And because I go through my public library system for most of the books I read, it makes it really easy to find slightly older and also really underrated books. Even on popular authors' backlists, like, you can find a lot of hidden gems that I don't think people seek out most of the time. And I think it's really important to find those books. There are so many books in the world. I don't want to restrict myself to just the ones that are recently released and super trendy and everybody's reading them. That's not my style. So in the rest of this video, we're going to be picking the rest of the books that I'm going to read this year off my TBR. And I might later put them in a jar and draw out each individual book to decide what order I read them in. But I don't think I will be doing a prompt sort of style in picking my TBR. There are a few that I know for a fact are already going to be on there. First is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This one was a pretty popular book. I think it's won a couple awards. It came out in 2024. And I'm going to be telling you a little bit about each book I choose to put on the TBR. Yeah, it came out in 2024 and it looks pretty interesting. I think it's a mystery, if I remember correctly. It's got a pretty neat epigraph and it's got a map. And this one I also just picked up from the library pretty recently. I saw they had 5 or 6 copies on the shelf, and so I thought I might as well. It's one that I meant to read in, before now, but it's also one that I meant to read during the summer, and it's summer now. It takes place at a summer camp, if I believe. Yeah, when a teenager vanishes from her Adirondack summer camp, 2 worlds collide. and it takes place in August of 1975. So I think should be a perfect summer read, and I am kind of more into mystery and things like that these days. So we will be reading that after Florence. We'll go ahead and add it to the list here. Okay, the next one that I know for a fact is going on my 2026 TBR is The Ghostwriter by Julie Clark. This is the first book I have bought, the first novel I have bought in a really long time. But I had my birthday recently and I got a Target gift card for my birthday, and so I got to treat myself to the book. This one I have been anticipating for a really long time. This is also a popular one right now, and so obviously I do still read current books, just not all the time. And I'm really annoyed. I've seen other readers say this too. I hate it when they put stickers on my book, because this is the most beautiful book I have seen in a long time. I am typically not a fan of outer page decals, but I mean, look at this. Just the whole style of the book and the fact that it looks like it's burning, and it's so well done. It's just absolutely gorgeous, and I wish they had not ruined it with my sticker, but I think that it's really incredible. And I mean, you can even see this is text from the actual book. One of the characters' names is Poppy, and you can see Poppy's name here. But I'm just so excited to have this book in my possession and to own it. And the reason I've been anticipating this one is actually not because it's popular, ironically, but because I read another book by Julie Clark called The Last Flight a good few years ago now, and I absolutely loved it. That was a 5-star read for me. It was an amazing book. I loved her writing style, and I've always kind of wanted to read another Julie Clark book, and I've just never gotten around to it. And so when I read the premise of this, oh, I should tell you more about it, hang on. When I read the premise of this, it just sounded so interesting, and I'm really excited for it. There's actually praise for The Last Flight in the first part of this book. Lots and lots of praise for The Last Flight. And she also has that other book, The Lies I Tell. I should read that sometime. But yeah, I've been really anticipating this book. Oh, it was published? Huh. Okay, it is a little confusing. The copyright is set for both 2025 and 2026. I've never seen that before. But it takes place in June 1975. So maybe I should read this one before The God of the Woods, because they take place back to back. I didn't realize that before. But this one says, the Taylor family shatters in a single night when 2 teenage siblings are found dead in their own home. The only surviving sibling, Vincent, never shakes the whispers and accusations that he was the one who killed them. Decades later, the legend only grows as his career as a horror writer skyrockets. Ghostwriter Olivia Dumont has spent her entire professional life hiding the fact that she is the only child of Vincent Taylor. Now on the brink of financial ruin, she's offered a job to ghostwrite her father's last book. What she doesn't know, though, is that this project is another one of his lies, because it's not another horror novel he wants her to write. After 50 years of silence, Vincent Taylor is finally ready to talk about what really happened that night in 1975. Okay, so I guess it doesn't fully take place in 1975. It's split between the 2 timelines, past and present. I'm really excited to read this one. It also appeals to me, the premise, as a writer myself. And I'm just super duper excited. I think I've said that about 20 times now, but I'm very excited for it. So we'll go ahead and put that one on the list. All right, so there we have it. The first 3 books on my rest of 2026 TBR. Now is where it gets a little trickier, because we have to go through that digital list of 237 books and pick out 12 more to read in the rest of 2026. So we have to narrow it down to 12. What I'm going to be doing is scrolling through, and as I find books that I think I should add, I will pause and write them down and tell you guys about them. Hydrate. I really hope I said welcome to Pumpkin Pages at the beginning. Anyway, if I didn't, my channel's name is Pumpkin Pages because I absolutely love pumpkins. I'm a huge fan of autumn, and I'm very excited for autumn. I think I've said that a few times already, but you will see a lot more of me come autumn, because most of the books on my TBR I read by season, and I feel like most of them are autumn books to me, or at least are set in autumn, or are mysteries, or witch themed. I tend to always pick up the pace on my reading come autumn. So maybe we'll hit more than 15 books this year, and that would be fantastic. Anyway, let's start scrolling through my TBR. Okay, here's one that we're gonna add, I think. The Memory of Things by Gay Polisner. I tried to start this one a while ago, but it's about 9/11, and I just wasn't ready to read it at the time, but I have always wanted to try reading it again, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that on here. We have 3 books now that start with the. We've got a couple mysteries already, so I'm gonna try to avoid mysteries. Okay, here's one. We're gonna add All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. That's another one that I've wanted to read for quite a while, and I think they're making a movie of that as well. Sometimes I wish they would stop making movies out of books, and plays out of movies, etc., etc. All right, number 5. All the Light We Cannot See. Okay, there we go. It has been added to the list. I just lost the cap of my pen. I'm not exactly sure where it went, so we'll just set it and I hope it's okay. I feel like it just looks like I'm looking down. I am looking at my laptop, it's just not in camera. Okay, 2 we're gonna add here that I just ran into. We're gonna put Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. That one is, I believe, a speculative horror novel. I think it's described as eldritch horror. I don't really understand why. I read the reviews pretty recently, and it seemed like people thought the prose was very beautiful, but that there was not a lot of story to back that up. So we'll give it a shot. It seemed to be like 50-50 in the opinions of the people, but I think that I'm the kind of person who really loves beautiful prose, and I mean, it's about the ocean. Again, that will go with the current novel I'm writing, so I kind of want to keep the vibes on par with that. But I do not usually listen to the reviews most of the time, unless there's something that really stands out as distinct, or if the reviews are like really unanimous. For example, if a book has many reviews that say it portrays mental health poorly, I won't read that. But I do think this one sounds 50-50 enough that I will give it a shot, and maybe I will find more meaning out of it than other people have in the past. Okay, there's that one, Our Wives Under the Sea by J. Armfeld. And then the other one I want to add right now is A History of Wild Places by Shay Earnshaw. This is one I've wanted to read for such a long time. It feels like it fits kind of that autumnal mystery theme that I really enjoy, but also with like forest thrown in. My mom had a subscription to Book of the Month for a while, and the last month she had it, she let me pick the book because she decided she didn't want to do it anymore. And so I got to pick a book, and I narrowed my choices down to one book I can't remember, A History of Wild Places, and The Cartographers by Peng Shepherd, which I have sitting right here. And I picked The Cartographers, obviously, and I really love that book so much. But I've always wanted to read A History of Wild Places, and I keep seeing it pop up, and I just haven't gotten around to it. So we're gonna go ahead and add that now. There we go, okay. Let's go back to our browsing. Okay, let's put this one on here. Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. I think this one came out maybe last year or the year before and was a pretty big hit, but I don't see many people on YouTube talking about it, and I'd really like to find out for myself what it's about. Am I remembering correctly that they're also making this one into a movie or a TV show? Can they just stop doing that? I mean, it's really good for the authors, but sometimes we just want to savor the books, you know? Especially with the trend of changing all the covers to the real-life people who star in the movie after the movie comes out. I don't like that, and I know other people don't either. I think I would be less critical of movies and TV show versions coming out if they didn't do that. Okay, Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. Maybe I'll try to read that one before the summer's over as well. Here's another one I want to put on. The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I've tried to read The Secret History in the past because I really love other books that are similar to it, supposedly, but I wasn't able to get into it at the time. That's also on my list to try again someday. But I don't know, it feels like a January read to me. So for now, I'm just going to stick with The Goldfinch. The premise of this one sounds more interesting to me. To clarify, they're both by Donna Tartt. I need more autumn books. I know I said a lot of my books were autumn themed, but I'm actually not running into many of those. Maybe they come later. Okay, no, here we go. Okay, I lied. This is not autumn themed, but we're gonna put this one on here. Looking Glass Sound by Catriona Ward. I was reading the reviews for that just a few hours ago today, and it seems like people thought it was a little convoluted and that it's not quite as good as her other books. I've never read anything by Catriona Ward, but I have a few of her books on here. The Last House on Needless Street is also here, but I think Looking Glass Sound fits more with the vibe I'm going for right now. And I would like to still try it out, even though it seems like it might be a little complex. I want to see how, again, I want to see how I feel about it and not just how the people on Goodreads feel about it. I really need another autumn book. Where are they? Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. I completely forgot that I talked all about it. I knew I was missing something. One of my books that I don't have to choose. We'll just put it on here as number 11. It's As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. I can't believe I forgot. I know I keep griping about the TV show adaptations, but I have always had A Good Girl's Guide to Murder on my TBR. That's one of the ones that's been on there since high school, and I've just never had the motivation to read it. But obviously the TV show came out, I think, last year, and season 2 just dropped, and so I kind of binged those recently, and I wasn't the biggest fan of the story or the TV show, but it's at a point where it's interesting enough that I really want to know how it ends. As Good as Dead is the final book in the trilogy, and so I have that on hold at the library and will be receiving that soon so that I can finish it and find out how it ends. As Good as Dead by H. Jackson. So that's going to be number 11, but I'll read it before that point. Okay, here's one that I actually own. I got it for Christmas a few years ago. It's down there somewhere. It's alphabetical, so it's gonna be like way over here. But it is What Became of Magic by Paige Crutcher. Apparently magic is a character and not just an abstract concept, which I think is really interesting, and I'm very curious to see how that plays out. That's one that I think falls into kind of the category of witch-themed books. I really love practical magic, and what else do I love? Orly Wallace writes some good ones. Oh, Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. That was the third one on the book of the month that I was deciding on. I did not get that one, but I have read that one. I feel like most of this video is kind of just me rambling, which is a little bit of the point, but I hope it's still appealing to people. Okay, so we have 12 books right now, so we just need 3 more. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and put on Wayward by Amelia Hart, which I think is another witch-themed category book. So that's gonna be number 13. I got a lot of these from, I love getting my witch-themed books from Bookpage magazine. They have a lot of good ones, and I have like a whole issue from a couple years ago that I've never sorted through to pick out my autumnal books. I need to do that pretty soon. Okay, this is one that, again, I tried to read before and I wasn't that into it, but it's Hot Wax by ML Rio, and If We Were Villains by ML Rio is my favorite book of all time, and so I really want to give this one a shot, especially because it's music themed, and I love music as well. So let's put that on here and we'll give it another chance. I have a lot of books where I tried to read it once and I could tell I just wasn't in the mood at the time. Maybe that's optimistic and too hopeful of me, but we'll keep going with it. We just need one more book. We can do this. Ooh, okay. I actually have too many to choose from. I have 3 I want to choose from. There's The Unmaking of June Farrow, which gets really high ratings and is also by Adrienne Young. There's Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey, and The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clark. Evelyn Clark, one half of that pair of authors is V.E. Schwab, and V.E. Schwab is kind of hit or miss for me, but I loved The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I feel like that book changed my life. It wasn't my favorite book, but it still was really impactful and atmospheric in a way. So I'm very interested to read The Ending Writes Itself. But I think I'm gonna have to go with The Unmaking of June Farrow for my 2026 list. Charlotte McConaughey, I'm really excited to read Wild Dark Shore, but Migrations is one that I read by her in the past couple years, and I really loved that book. I love her writing. I love the natural elements and themes, but it was a pretty heavy book, Migrations. And so in case Wild Dark Shore is also emotionally heavy, I'm just not ready for that this year, and I would prefer to not venture there right now, but I will read it eventually. So our 15th book is going to be The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. Okay, admittedly, my handwriting's also pretty messy on this page, so please forgive that, but we do have a completed list. Voila. There we go. So that is going to be my 2026 TBR. I will probably put all of these in a jar, or at least most of them, not the staple ones that not the ones that I have checked out from the library because those are on a time limit. But I will put most of them into a jar and shuffle them around and draw randomly which one I will read next. I think I'll go ahead and film that either in shorts or at the end of each book review I do. So look forward to that in the future. And thank you so much again for tuning into this video and watching all the way through if you got this far. I'm so excited to be filming this and be engaging in this new creative art. I'm a very creative person, and I think that YouTube videos are going to be a new way for me to express and share some of that creativity. All right, this has been the first video of Pumpkin Pages. Happy harvest and happy reading. I'll see you in the next video.